Good afternoon for 4 News Now. I'm Rob King. Tonight, 4 News Now's Derek Deis has a special report airing at 6. It's going to be taking an inside look at the Sheriff's Office Real-Time Crime Center. We have a little teaser to show you right now.
You're being watched in real time throughout Spokane.
It just gives us the ability to react to crime and other public safety needs.
The Sheriff's Office says it can solve violent crime, missing persons cases, school threats, and even help with wildfires. But is this surveillance violating your privacy? I'm Derek Deis from 4 News Now. What's happening inside the control room? How far do its eyes and ears reach, and who should be worried about it? Go inside the Real-Time Crime Center tonight, only on 4 News Now at 6.
Thank you, Derek. It's a little scary. Do you want to explain to us a little bit more about what your special report's about? What is the Crime Center?
I don't know if I'd say it's scary, Rob, because guys like you and I aren't running around committing crime, so
Sure.
You wouldn't think you have a whole lot to worry about, right? So it's called the Real-Time Crime Center. It's something that is in actually several, maybe dozens of other cities across the country. And basically what it is, it's a room inside the public safety building where the Spokane County Sheriff's Office is housed, and they have a wall of monitors where they're checking things like live 911 feeds, their investigative databases, automated license plate readers that they've used for a long time. And then the new thing here is flock safety cameras. So they've invested a lot of money in these flock safety cameras across the country so they can use them to track bad guys basically as they move from one area to another. They'll show up on those cameras, and they've had a whole lot of successes using those already.
Got it. Now, does it kind of look like Batman's supercomputer? They got all these monitors, you got police officers checking them out.
Not quite like that. It's more like Master Control in KXLY, where you're monitoring, the network feeds and the commercial feeds and all that kind of stuff. They just have a bunch of monitors set up on a wall, and people might say, well, where do they get the money to pay for this, right? All of this, the setup, the technologies that they've implemented across the county cost about $5 million. But Lieutenant Justin Elliott tells me that all but $350,000 of that came from the American Rescue Plan Act. Now, you might think, Rob, isn't that COVID money, right?
I thought that was for small businesses.
Exactly. So, but there's something called community violence intervention. And a lot of law enforcement agencies across the money have applied for ARPA funds based on that community violence intervention. So Spokane County Sheriff's Office got just shy of $4 million under the American Rescue Plan Act. The city of Spokane Valley, which uses the Sheriff's Office for their policing services, got about $850,000 for it. And then the rest was about $350,000 that they spent in their own construction costs just to get it set up where they are in the public safety building. But really, almost zero cost to taxpayers to implement this program.
Well, that's always good. People enjoy hearing that. So policing, it's always advancing. It's wanting to get better. Where do they want this technology to go? What more do they want to do with it?
Yeah, so right now they're saying because of this, it gets them to scenes quicker with better information. It allows them to put their deputies, make them feel safer, right? Because they can tell them the kinds of situation they're getting into, especially if they can see these things on camera. And so it just gives them the ability to fight crime and public safety needs right away. And we can get into the list of successes. Back in early June, there was a woman who was attacked on a trail in Liberty Lake, and they used flock safety cameras to track a car that left the scene at the time, and they had the guy arrested a day or two later. Even during the Gray Fire, Rob, they were able to use it because they needed to go in and try to tell people where to evacuate, but the cameras could tell them, and traffic flows could tell them, don't go in here. That's a very dangerous area, but let's go over here so we can let these people know it's time to get out because your home is in danger, right? So future uses, though, I'll actually, let me continue there. They use it also for suspects fleeing shootings, recovering stolen cars, even finding missing people. Things they would like to do in the future is in the case of a school emergency. Maybe there's a shooter going into your son or daughter's school. If they have a partnership with the school district, they might be able to tap into that school's cameras and then know exactly where that threat is coming from and how they can better go about it. They also talked about businesses might be able to sign up and say, yeah, punch into my cameras. That way, if I have a crime happening at my store or restaurant, then they can get on it more quickly and maybe see the license plate number of the car that's getting away, that sort of thing.
Got it. Now, Derek, a lot of times there are things you have to omit from your special reports just based on time. So is there anything that you found super interesting that you learned that you just wasn't able to get in this time?
It's going to be pretty long, so we got a lot of stuff in there, but what I would say is that there's the other side of the coin, right? Is that some people would say, don't we as normal citizens have the right to be left alone and not be being viewed by law enforcement over cameras? And so I talked to not only the Spokane Human Rights Commission here in Spokane, but also the American Civil Liberties Union of Washington issued a statement for us. And, basically what they said is, the Spokane Human Rights Commission is like, we want our police to be able to do good work, but we want to make sure it doesn't go too far, right? Because there needs to be frameworks in place to make sure there's some sort of oversight, so they're not overstepping boundaries. And the ACLU said there can and have been instances of law enforcement across the country following people, that maybe they have suspicion of on flock safety cameras, or using automatic license plate readers to track their movements if they're going to, protests or abortion clinics or churches or what have you. And so they said you could have instead used some of that money for things like crisis support or violence intervention programs. This is the ACLU saying that they think are more effective than using surveillance video to, in their eyes, spy on the public.
Well, it sounds super interesting. I don't know if we've ever had a real inside look at what this center looks like, so I'm sure it was fascinating. And I'm looking forward to your special report tonight. Derek, is there anything else you want to add?
I was going to say, very few people, I think, have been inside it because it's actually pretty new, and they have a kind of temporary part-time setup where they are now. I talked about those $350,000 in construction funds. They're going to move it to a different area of the public safety building, and right now it's only staffed part-time, that real-time crime center. They hope to get to a place where they can staff it full-time. And one other thing I'll say, Rob, is that the American Rescue Plan Fund money runs out at the end of 2026. So if they want this to continue in 2027 and beyond, they, need to show the public that it's working, right? And that it's helping them make the community more safe. And then two, they've got to think of grants or other ideas of how they're going to pay for it moving forward in the future. They think it'll cost maybe about $750,000 a year after that to continue it. So end of 2026 is kind of where it's at right now. Beyond that, we'll see.
Awesome. Well, Derek, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
You bet, man. Thank you.
And like we said, Derek's special report airs tonight at 6 p.m. 4 News Now at 6. The full thing in its entirety, as well as this interview, will be up on our website, KXLY.com, which also brings us to a good reminder, download our app, the 4 News Now mobile app, and be sure to turn on notifications so you can get real-time breaking news in your community. So thank you for watching. Be sure to tune in. Regular show times tonight, 4 News Now at 5. But for now, live in studio, I'm Rob King, 4 News Now.